So I'll be installing Express. Express is a Node.js framework for creating APIs, and then I'm also going to install what we know as course, Nodemon. So if you want to install multiple things, you just give them space. So course is a mechanism that allows exchange of data between the front end and the back end. So without the course, you cannot exchange data. I'm also going to be showing you how it works and why you should care about it. So we have our Express course, Nodemon, and then we have our .env. So this .env allows us to keep some of our secrets. Oh, sorry, I missed an installation. Yarn add. You should add the add. Yarn add there. If it is npm, you use your npm install. So why this is running? So let me explain what .env does. So .env allows us to keep our sensitive information inside of a file that is not visible to either Git or anybody on GitHub. So when we push our code to online, nobody can actually access it if you put it in the .env environment. So that is what we known as environment variables. So that's what .env does for. So while this is loading, let's go and check out HarperDB. HarperDB is the database we are going to be making use of today. So we just have to create our account, so set it up, and then go back to our code and get started. So what I will do is, to create a new account, you can come here to the studio login, so we can have access to the sign up link. Let me open my mail here, so because I have to confirm my mail. Okay, so I'm already logged in. Let me sign out. You can sign up for free here. So my first name is Ayodele. You can just fill in your details. Please, welcome to Nigeria. So they just took my light, so you might see me very well. So the email I want to use is this with Unclebigbay at gmail.com, right? So let me quickly check if I'm visible. Okay, I'm a little bit visible. Okay. We have this with Unclebigbay. Then you want to create your domain name. So I can create Aviyel to do CRUD. So you can give it anything any name you want. So we don't have any coupon. I want to make sure that the email address is correct. So let me check this with Unclebigbay. Okay, so that's correct. So I can sign up for free. Okay, so Nigeria is back. Our light is back. That's good. So let's check what we have here. Why HarperDB is setting up. So our installation has completed. Now what we want to do is, let's go back to this guy. He's back. So you want to create your password. Let me type my password. I'm not going to say it out. Okay, cool. So my password is not strong. So let me make it strong. Okay. All right, good. So I've created my account on HarperDB. So now let's create a new CRUD instance. So there are two ways to use a database, even if you are going to be using MongoDB. Is either you use it locally or you use it on the cloud. So we are going to be making use of CRUD. So to make use of CRUD, just click this create new HarperDB CRUD instance. And then you click on this create HarperDB CRUD instance, and then you can fill in your details here. So example, what do we name this? So we can maybe let's say to do cloud. These are to do cloud. You can be creative with your names. Our username, I'm just going to make it simple, admin, and my password is also admin. For the instance, I can look at the instance details. So if you want to, thank you for telling me. So if you want to upgrade, you can also upgrade, but we don't want to upgrade here. So what we just want to do is make use of the free. So you can see my password and username are being displayed here. So what you should take note of when you are creating your HarperDB databases, you should take note of your admin username, the admin password, and your instance URL. It's very, very important because that's what we are going to be making use with HarperDB to connect to the database, to connect the Node.js to the HarperDB cloud instance. So what we want to do is we want to accept this policy, then we add our instance. So now that we have this, let's move into creating our first routes. So what I want to do is I want to create the index.js. Index.js. So everybody should know by now, if you've worked with HTML, you should know that index is very, very important when you are starting a new project. So it is the root of your project. So it is the root. So that's why we're having our index.js here. So you can also change it. You can change it, but you have to change the name that we have there. Okay. So what we want to do now is we want to create our first route. So what we want to do is we want to import all these packages that we've installed here. You can let me know if the fonts are very tiny, so I can increase them. So the first thing we want to do is we want to do import Express. So import Express. So we want to do const Express equals require Express. So what we are doing here is we are telling package, or we are picking Express from the package.json that we want to make use of you in our application. So we can make use of this guy here now. Now, after doing this, what we want to do now is we now want to do const app. We want to let me say we want to create app from Express. Okay, so we now want to create an email instance of Express in our own application. So we can do const app. These are to do app. Then we can do Express like this. Okay, so this is what we want to do. So this require is an ES5 feature, and in ES6 you can use your import Express.js, but we don't have that set up, and this is really fine. You can still go with this route. So we have created our app with Express. So the next thing we want to do now is we need our port. We need our port. So what I port is we need a port on our computer that our server is going to run. So we have to create a port. We have to have a port that our app is going to listen to. So whenever any user visits that particular port, our application is going to run on that particular port. So let me show you how it's done. So you want to do const port. Okay, create port. So let me know if you still need me to increase it. So we want to create our port now. So which port do we want to make use of? So before you select the port, you want to ensure that any other application is not using that particular port. My favorite one is using, you can use 8080, but my favorite one is using 111 because I'm sure no one is going to use that. Because you might want to run a server for your React application and maybe like 2, then you want to run for the backend. So you can use any one, but you want to ensure that no application is using that. So now that we have this, then we can now proceed to create our first route. So we can do dot listen, okay, listen to this port. So when you listen to this port, when anyone visit this port, we want you to run this function. Okay, so what we want to run is console.log. Now I want to do your server is running on port. You now want to you can do concatenation here, then do ports, right? Port. So we have this here. So basically, we are making our app listen on port 111. Okay. So anytime somebody visits this particular port, then we can display this console.log to them. So how to test this now is, let's come here. Let me clear this. Now we want to do our Node. Remember that our Node is a runtime environment for JavaScript that is running outside of the browser, which is now running on the server now. So we can now do Node index. So Node index. So let's wait a little bit for that. So as you can see now, I have a message here that your server is running on port 111. So which means that we've created our first server. Our port route is going to be a get method that we can display on the UI, on the browser. So we can do app.get app.get. So this is a method in our backend, which means that we want to get something. So this is a verb. We want to get something, right? So any user that is sending this method to the backend, so which endpoint, we can have a lot of get method, but the way we are going to identify each method is the route that the user is actually sending a request to. So to create a route, you just have to specify the route here. Okay, so and this you cannot do maybe like /do, you can do to do, or you want to do all to do or to do. So these are our routes, so you can specify it here. So but what we want to do is we want to make this an index. So these are our index, and then we now want to do write the function which is request and response, and then we want to do this. So as you can see, we have two parameters here. The first parameter means request. So the second one means response. So this request is what is coming from the front end. You remember that the back end is going to receive a request from the front end, and the back end is now going to send a response back to the front end on the status of any logic that has been implemented or run on the request that has been sent. Maybe the request went through, you want to send a success message, and if the request didn't go through, you also want to notify the front end that something went wrong or something. So now you will always see backend using REST and this, because we are going to be using it a lot of time and we don't want to write it long. So what we can do now is let's send the response to anyone that is visiting this URL. So what we can do is that we can now say that rest.send, we want to send the data, rest.send this. We can now say let's just copy, okay, let's say welcome to my to-do list backend application. Okay, so this is what we want to send. So let's make it more fun. We can just paste this because I love making things more cool. Okay, so now that we have this, let's go and visit our port on the browser. Hoppscotch is going to allow us to test all these routes and see what we are actually doing wrong, if we are actually doing something wrong. So this is Hoppscotch. So when you visit Hoppscotch.io, you are going to see this. And when you start making use of Hoppscotch, you have to go to the settings, and then scroll down. You are going to see a section that says browser extension. So in this browser extension, you can pick for your Firefox, or you use Chrome. So when you click on any of these extensions, maybe you are using Chrome or Firefox, it's going to take you to the extension where you can actually install it. So when you install this is going to allow the Hoppscotch that is running online to interact with your local server. So now that we have this here, I already have this set up. So what I can do is I'll just come back to this REST. So if you're also working with GraphQL, you can also test your GraphQL here. You can also make your documentation here. So this is where you can generate your documentation. So for any code that you've already done, you can just generate it here, and you can see the test that I made here. So this is a documentation for one of the APIs that I've written. So now what we can do now is we can do our HTTP local host. Then we can do 1111. Okay, so it is a get method. So this, you can see that we also have all these methods that we are writing in our backend. We have the get method, we have the post method, we have the put method. So the get method is retrieving data from the backend. The post method is posting data to the database. The put is going to change the data and entry data. The patch is just going to modify a particular entry. The delete is going to delete the data. So for this add, connect, options, trees are all beyond this the scope of this live session. So let's see what we are doing wrong here. So we are still having error here. Let's run through our code again and see what's wrong. So now what this means is that our local host is not accessible yet. So we've already installed our Express. We are running our Express here, our app.use, our Express here. We created our app, we created our ports, and we are running app.get. Welcome to my local host backend. That's what we expected. And our server is actually running quite well. Oh, I think I know what's wrong. So what's wrong is that, I feel what's wrong is our server. Okay, let me see this. So I will explain what is actually wrong. Okay, so app.use cannot reference app before initialization. So what I did wrong was, okay, so this cause is supposed to come below this app. That's JavaScript. So you have to call cause below the app, right? So I think what I did wrong, that was my bad, was the server doesn't refresh. Our server doesn't refresh, and that is the problem that Nodemon actually wants to solve. Okay, so now let's go back to the browser. If I am not wrong, it should work now. So let's check. So if I refresh here now, better. So it works now. So that was my bad, jokes on me. So you can see now that we have welcome to my to-do list backend application. Our first route, which is the get method. Now, what I want you guys to understand is that we need to specify the method we want to work with. For instance, now, if I just pick a random method here, if I do post and my backend here doesn't have a post method, I only have a get method and a listen method, which the listen is happening here, and I have my get method here. So let me stop my server. So after this, I'm going to implement the Nodemon, and we can see. So I can now do restart again, and then I can come here. We don't have a post method, right? So if I send a post method, you can see that we have a bad response. So what we are having here is that cannot post to this particular URL because there's no method as post in this particular URL. There's no method as post here. So we only have get. So if I change this guy to post and then save it, if I save it now, and then I come back here to restart my server, you can see the stress I'm going through because I have to stop my server and go back to my server again. So if I run this server again and then I run send, you can see now that this is working perfectly. So the post method is working now because we have the post method in our Node.js application. And now if I change this back to get, remember we had get method previously before we change it to the post method. Now if I change it to send a request, you can see now that get request doesn't work because it's not accessible. So you should always specify the right method when you are testing your API also. So because this, you might be wondering why am I getting this error, so you should always check. So if I go back to post, you see what we have here. So what we can now do is to solve the issue of stopping server and running server. You can now come to our package.json, and then we can create something we call script. So what we want to do is we want to create a script that will help us and run our application, our Index.js with Nodemon. So Nodemon will listen to all the file changes that we are making, right? So now what we can now do is we can do start, and then we want to do Nodemon, and we want to do Index.js. Okay, so this is basically what we need to initiate Nodemon for the implementation of Nodemon in our package.json. So now that this is up, I have to come here, stop my server. Then instead of using node index.js, what I have to do is I can now do yarn start. Let's see. Okay, so what do we do wrong? Yarn run start. That's what I'm supposed to do. Okay, so what did I do wrong? Nodemon index. This is our start. Okay, or yarn start. That's what we are supposed to do. Did I give this guy a capital letter? This is yarn start. So what did I do wrong? Okay, I did something wrong again. So this is how I think it's supposed to be, but this guy is not getting called. Okay, yarn start, Nodemon index.js. Okay, right. So what did I do? So what if I run node index? Is my node index.js still working? Okay, node.index is still working. So that means that I have a bug in my package.json. So what did I do wrong? I have my script here. Okay, so what we can do to save me from this is I can do a quick one of drill start. Okay, let me quickly check my package.json here. I think I did something wrong. Oh, that's my bad. I was saying we have to create a script. So I think talking. So we have a script. We are supposed to have a script here. So inside of the script, because we can have many scripts that we want to use, so we have to put the start inside of the script. So what the script does is that it contains some commands that we can run in our backend application. So as you can see now, we have dependencies, and this dependency is holding all the packages that we are installing in our application. So we are supposed to create a script array and this script object, and this object now is going to contain all our commands. So now we created our start command, and let's see if this is going to actually run. So now I can run my yarn start. Typo, did you mean scripts? Okay. Yarn start. Okay, scripts. This is typo, scripts. Okay, cool. Scripts is not just one script, it's many scripts. Yarn start. So as you can see now, our Nodemon index.js is working perfectly. So these are the common bugs that you come across, and you can always make reference to online resources to get this done.